Today I'm going to be talking about banking with HSBC. This is one of a series of videos that we've put together about the different banks and the different offering with their bank accounts for small and medium-sized businesses, so that you can make a better informed decision about which bank is best for you. Because one of the things, if you take the time to look at some of our videos, it's quite interesting how the offerings are very different, and certain banks we've discovered are just not suitable for certain types of small businesses. Today I'm going to be talking about HSBC, and full disclosure, I am an HSBC personal customer. However, one of the things that we've discovered as we've been doing this is how much longer the account opening process is for the traditional high street banks versus some of the new challenger banks or new sort of banking apps that are out there. Now, historically, if someone had come to me and said, I'm starting up a business, I would have said to them, well, the easiest thing to do is to go to your bank that you have a personal account with, because they already know you, it will speed up the process, and you should be able to get a bank account much quicker. These days, that's not always the case, that some of the, as I say, the challenger banks and the apps have adopted technology much quicker, much better than the traditional high street banks, and therefore it can be much quicker to open an account with one of them. And again, full disclosure, when a few years ago now, I needed to open a small business bank account for myself, contacted HSBC, said, hi, I'm an HSBC customer. At the time I was HSBC Premier, whatever that means. It's not private banking, it's not standard banking, it's supposed to give you access to an individual to talk to, etc., etc. And they said to me, oh yes, you'll need to come in and see a business banking manager. And I said, well, I don't really want to do that now. I just want to get the bank account open because I want to start doing some things literally this week, next week. So I just need a sort code and account number, sort everything else out afterwards. I'm an experienced businessman. I don't really need to see a business manager. No, you cannot have an account unless you meet a business manager. And the next appointment is in a fortnight, at which point I rang one of the challenger banks and had a bank account with them the next day. So having said, historically, I would have always recommended people went to the banks they already had a relationship with. There's an example that it didn't work out for me. So I've had a look now at the HSBC website, and they effectively are offering, I suppose you'd call it, 4 different levels of bank accounts. So they have a business banking app for sole traders and sole director companies. It's called HSBC Kinetic. They say you can get an account within 48 hours, and you just download the app and you do it all on there. So I'm sure it's like dealing with some of the others. I haven't actually done it. As you'll see on some of the other videos, we have physically opened bank accounts with some of the banks to just demonstrate how quick, easy, or long and difficult they make it to do business with them. So Kinetic it's an app as opposed to an actual branch-based thing, but it is HSBC. It does seem to have some of the things that others don't. You can have an overdraft up to £30,000. You can do international payments. To all intents and purposes, if you are just a sole trader, sole director company, just doing some freelance work, that sort of thing, it looks as if it would be fairly be adequate for what you need. And as I say, it says you can have an account within 48 hours. The next level they have is the small business account, which again is then a full business bank account. You can get loans, overdrafts. It has a debit and credit card potentially attached to it, and it is a full bank account. But reading through the lines, it is where they're not expecting you to really have any need to speak to the bank. It's just the facility to do the banking, which for a lot of small businesses, for a lot of people, as I say, doing freelancing, whatever, Kinetic, all that may well be enough. You don't need, a lot of support from the bank. You're not looking for borrowing and whatever. You just want a safe, reliable place to pay money in, take money out, and deal with the routine banking matters. And HSBC as a global brand, would fit that bill. They then have a business bank account, which they say is for people with established needs. Again, it's larger businesses that will have more requirements. So that may be, even having BACS facilities for paying your payroll, depending how many staff you have, having more credit cards for other people, significant borrowing, and a lot of the banks, and I won't give the thresholds, but a lot of the banks will have a threshold. If you're turning over less than this, or you're borrowing less than this, then you are going to be in this category and you're dealt with in a particular way. So in the HSBC Kinetic, it's all on the app. So you're not going to get a great deal of support. But then on the other hand, do you need it if it's only for sole director and sole trader businesses? The next level up will be, they will have a threshold. If you borrow less than, and I don't know what the number is, but let's say it's £50,000 or your turnover is less than a couple of million quid, you fall into the small business category. And again, you may well be dealt with by more of a call center type of approach, because again, your needs are more general, and therefore you don't necessarily need to speak to someone who really knows you and your business, because it's more generic type of issues that you might have. And then as you move up, if you're bigger turnover, you have bigger borrowing, you'll have an actual bank manager who's there to talk to you and help you and give you advice and help you compare different products that they're doing. And then the fourth sort of level in HSBC is their corporate team, and that will be where you're a significant business with significant borrowing, significant issues to do with banking, whether that could be lots of international transactions, letters of credit, all those sorts of things that can be required by that size of business, but not relevant to the SMEs. And one of the other things just on HSBC, because obviously international payments, when you look at Wise and Revolut and stuff and what they're doing and sort of disrupting that area, HSBC in their international banks, they charge 17 quid as their basic fee to make an international transfer, which if you're making one or two a year, you can live with. But if you're making a lot or receiving a lot, that can soon add up. But I know that HSBC at the moment are piloting a thing called global wallets, where effectively there are a dozen or so currencies where effectively you have a bank account or the appearance of a bank account that's in that country. So if you've got you're doing a lot of work in US dollars with US companies, by using a dollar bank account with HSBC in the UK, yes, you've got dollars going backwards and forwards, but there are significant fees can be attached to that. Whereas if you use the global wallet, the US bank that you're sending money to or receiving money from will believe it is just doing an within country transfer, because you effectively have the same, instead of the sort code and account number that we have in the UK, you have whatever codes it is they have in the US, or the other, as I say, dozen or so currencies that they're currently piloting, which then means the transfers will be, during the pilot, they're not charging anything, but I think they've said it's going to be a £5 instead of £17. So again, £12 a transaction, if you're doing a lot, is worth looking at. And that would mean, all your banking requirements could be in one place. That's not me trying to plug HSBC, by the way. I'm sure the other high street banks are all going to be working on something similar, because international transactions, is a big business. And if the likes of Revolut, Wise and others are taking that away from them, they're not just going to sit still and let that happen. So yeah, going back to HSBC, one of the things that even on the website I thought was a bit frustrating, because it says on there, if you want, 48 hours to have Kinetic, but if you want the small business bank account or the business bank account, you have to go through their standard account opening process. Now, I don't know if that still means you've actually got to physically meet a manager. I assume these days not. But it does say on the website that even if you are an existing HSBC customer, they cannot make any shortcuts. They say it's due to privacy reasons, but I don't get that, because surely if I give you the right to use the data you have in my personal side to help me open a business bank account quicker, I'm sure I can just waive whatever privacy concerns they have. But that's what it says. So I am assuming it will be days and possibly weeks before you actually have a bank account with HSBC if you do not if the Kinetic version is not sufficient for you. So I hope that has given you some helpful hints on one of the big four of HSBC. Please check out our other videos if you want to look at some of the other banks that we've had a look at and done some research on, and of course the main video which you can see here, which will give you a summary of all of the banks that we've taken a look at. I hope this has been helpful.